Evening,
Hello,
Benny.
good evening. We'll see if Luke's going to roll in. There he is, on cue. Hello, Luke.
Hello, how are we all?
Luke, do you want to kick us off with a bit of a product update?
Yep, sure can. So we've got a few things this week, and probably a couple of little quick demos as well. The first thing is obviously the CitiXens. We're getting those prepped at the moment, getting ready to put them into the vault. So that's pretty exciting. There's a fair bit of work happening on that front. It's all coming together though. It's one of those things where you sort of see a million moving parts and wonder how it's all going to happen, but it's looking much better, getting much closer. So that's encouraging. I don't know if we've got any alpha we can drop on that or not, but I'll check with Joe in a sec. But yeah, we're getting close. There's a new apartment lobby that's been added today as well, to an internal build. So this is the actual lobby that we'll be using to enter the personal apartments, and also the showcases are in there as well. So that the apartments that we've been using for demonstration purposes are part of that lobby. I'll give a quick run through on that as well. I'll actually cast my Oculus and show you that quickly. We've got some cool stuff around advertising and sponsorship in the arcade. So we're going to be able to put some branding on Pong tables. So that's obviously going to be pretty cool. So we can have some hosted tournaments and things in there. KOGs Quest upgrade is still ongoing, but it's making good progress. So we've got the RFOX ID V2 integration in there. I'll let Phil have give you an update on that in a minute as well. We can elaborate a bit more. The new user portal is finished and ready to go. So that's got the shop owners stuff in it, so they can actually. We've kind of merge those two sites together as we said we were doing, so that's up and running and ready to go. And generally speaking, RFOX ID V2 is pretty much complete now. The last two things we're doing are the KOGs Quest, as I said, integrating that in, and also the NFT platform. So work's just begun on that. That's only going to take a few days to implement, so we'll be finished by the end of this month. You probably saw there was a message that Lala put up today about the end of life for version 1. So the thing that we need people to be aware of with that is that the NFTs that are in those wallets, and also coins with a K, the slam coins, they'll need to be moved out. So we've put some instructions up and some information on that today, but we've basically got until the middle of July to get that done. So we're just trying to get people to get started now so we don't run out of time. And then we can end up with one unified system for everything. The other integration we've done recently, which is cool, is for our support system. If you go to our support page, you can log in with your RFOX ID there, and what that allows you to do, is tie your ID to any issues you've had in any of the games, or in the vault, for example. So we can basically figure out exactly what's happening and to which user without having to double enter all of that information. The other thing is as well is if you've created a ticket in there, you'll be able to see the ticket history without having to contact us. So I think that's pretty cool. There's like a personalized portal in there where you can go and see your history and everything. So we're trying to bake RFOX ID into everything at the moment. Phil, do you want to go through? I don't know if you want to give any more updates on Quest, or if we've covered it, but
yeah,
a bit of alpha to spoil as well.
We can talk about it a little. So the major addition to Quest and what we're testing right now will be the rewards, which obviously are going to be KOGs. So this will help onboard new players who don't have the legacy KOGs to play with. One thing we should mention is that because we are moving to the new RFOX ID, when we launch the game, you will obviously have to have a new ID ready, and you will have to connect your Wax wallet to it. But we are also we can't keep anyone's current progress. But the game is still free. And there is now a prestige system. So after the first, I think 240 levels, you'll prestige and then open up the NFT rewards. Related to that, we previously spoke about pets. And I'm gonna share with you some early prototypes of that. Okay. Let me know when you can all see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you'll be earning these cogs within the game, and then at some point, which I will let Pete talk about at a later date, is how to obtain these pets using a combination of methods. So these are babies of the dragon cogs. Here is one of the commons, and then here's another common. Oh, so the one is going to be crawling on the ground. This one is flying, and then we will reveal later how these are obtained. That's it for me, I guess, for now.
Thanks, mate. Have you got anything you wanted to spoil or talk about?
Next week we've got a new the new crafting recipes kickoff on the 22nd of June, I believe. So get your crafting materials ready for next week's event.
Red Pill, do you want to talk about the user portal at all, or would nothing much to go through?
Yeah, sure. I think I mentioned it in some AMAs before, but I can quickly go through it. So yeah, we launched it last week. I think on Thursday we took it live. And now if you go to portal.rfoxvault.com, you see the new portal. And the main changes that we made was the collaborator access. So that means if you're the owner of the NFT of your district, you can give other people access by just adding their RFOX ID. So that's the number one thing. That is pretty useful because that enables you to not having to have that NFT in your wallet. If, for example, you want to whitelist another account from yourself and you just want to log in with another device, or you can add your friends to manage it together. That's the first thing. Then we added token gating that will allow you to add a contract address of an NFT, for example, CitiXens, and then only access to that district is granted if you hold that NFT. The next one is pin code. So you can set a pin code, and that will first of all be required if some collaborator wants to access that district management, and you can also set it for the district itself. So if someone wants to go to your district and they, for example, they're guests or something like that, then it's easier to just put in a pin code if you want to gate it. And that is also one option. So you can, for example, do a private event on a Friday or whatever, and then you just let a certain amount of people know the pin code that can actually enter the district. Regarding the slot management, we also made some changes. One thing that was requested a lot before was the addition of uploading files. So now you can also upload any videos or images, and they will be displayed. This will also be expanded more, that slot management, basically, where you can add websites later on, or you can add specific text or later on will be portals as well. So portals will basically be a portal to other spaces from within your district. Yeah, that's about it. We went through it last week with C11, and we got some really good feedback. So we're working on some UX improvements right now. But yeah, that was about it for now in the district management. It's far from finished. So actually, we have a bunch of other features that we're having sitting on staging right now, but we can't push it yet because it's not enabled yet in the Vault. So those are things like audio, where you can actually select an audio to play when someone enters your district. And a couple more features, especially like the AI features that you want to also expose in the portal. So yeah, there's a bunch more stuff coming soon. One really interesting feature that we're also working on and we want to focus on is more AI, and that will be in form of those NPCs that we talked about before, where you will be able to basically fine-tune or train a model to act in a certain way, an AI model. And when people come into a district, they can basically interact with that NPC. Yeah, that's also being worked on right now.
Thanks, Joe. I think that leads into one of the questions was, I think we got during the week was, will it only be for citizens? Hang on, let me just see what Atesh's question was. Paul Barron, you mentioned the citizens would be AI enabled to walk around. We think it's also very important to Joe's point to be able to have those models to be trained, because as we said, some people want to have like a store manned or a retail space manned when they're asleep or they're not there, or they want them to be able to do basic character interactions. What you've seen with some of the other NPCs and AIs companies that are coming out now, Convey was featured during the Apple and NVIDIA. What they were basically showcasing for Convey was, you can load a script and that would have a certain amount of character backdrop or information. AI is progressing at a rapid rate, and it will allow us to, as Joe said, model a lot of different things, and you'll be able to train the avatars as well. As far as citizens only, what we want to do is obviously make sure that citizens have great utility, especially you've got OGs and also standards as well. So we'll advise how we roll that out. It's still very early in the technology stages and us implementing, and there's a lot that we can actually do moving forward. It's getting easier and easier every day. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add on that, Joe, in relation to I guess some of the things that we're seeing or are being done. I mean, it's progressing at a pretty rapid rate.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, I think it's just progressing really fast. And like, for example, asking, regarding the question if only citizens will have it, I think it will be something that will be much more broadly used across everything. And you will see it in all kinds of games. Those integrations will be easy as well to actually integrate those things. So I think it's kind of going to be commonplace to have NPCs that have not hard-coded, conversations, but completely like ChatGPT-like responses and so on. So yeah, we're trying to leverage really hard on that. And not only that, but in general, generative AI for the metaverse has a lot of different dimensions, and we're looking into all of them. So we're looking into text to audio, where you can have music creation just with AI tools, especially as a world building, what we already started. We're also going deeper into that. As soon as we have some better AI models that we can use for 3D creation, that is a no-brainer that we will integrate. So yeah, we're just trying to stay up to date of new tools that are coming out, and then integrating them. We're not trying to build those AI models from scratch. We're basically just taking the approach of using what's out there and then trying to integrate as soon as possible, and also open that platform up for projects that have AI tools that they want to showcase to integrate with our platform. So yeah, that's our approach. And I hope more and more projects actually do that. So that would be awesome to see.
Yeah, thanks, mate. On the new promo videos, the Vault, the avatars walk really smoothly. Is that real in-game walking or just a video? This would be great to have confirmed, please. Lucky Luke.
Yeah, they're animated videos, but we are. So I mean, that's not representative of like a movement we're working on directly, but we are definitely working on the rigging and more natural movement of the avatars. But yeah, what you're seeing there is animated. I've got this video. I've got this demo ready of this lobby. Do you want me to quickly do that, and then we can jump back to the questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Let me just share my screen. Okay, let me know if you can see that all right. Okay, so you'll notice there's just one entry over here now on the apartments. Oops, sorry, just gone out of my zone. Hang on a sec. Sorry, I'm working in the dark here. All right, so this is the lobby. At the moment, there's a piece of glass there, so I can't walk on that side. But this is basically the edge of the building, and that's the external there behind that glass. Obviously, got a little waiting area here, and then what you'll find is we've got these cool futuristic looking lifts, and these are the pin codes we're talking about. So these pin codes will allow you to enter your apartment and have guests coming around and as well. And then we've got the showcase apartments that were previously on the external of the building. So these are actually teleporters to the apartments as well. So if I go into the sky, for example, I'll load that as normal. My yellow walls I've been playing around with. So yeah, so that's cool, and that's basically how we'll interface with the apartments going forward. So you'll be able to access your own apartment through one of these lifts very shortly. I think that's a pretty cool.
That looks amazing. That looks amazing. Your apartment decoration does not. We might have to
stick to
technology. Yeah, no vomiting pineapples on the wall.
Needs some work, that's for sure. Cool. That's it from my demo. Thanks, everyone.
That is super, super nice. That's the first time I've seen that too in a walkthrough. I think it's the first time probably most of us have seen it in an actual walkthrough.
Yeah, it's extremely fresh, that one.
Sorry, just started one from Madame right now. I think I missed this. But how will apartment pins be given to owners? So you can basically just choose it yourself. We will open up the apartment management inside the portal, and then you can choose whatever pin code you want. And you can also change it if you want. And then you can give it to your friends, for example.
Make sure you're really good friends with them. Can I play Clog Slam on my mobile in Vault, or is it only for VR users? You can play on your mobile. Pete's answered that one. Any updates from C11 DAO? Is anyone here that wants to give an update from C11? You got some breaking news, huh?
Hi, Benny. I'll give an update. CCRY here. Yeah, just like any other week, lots of things happening in the background, talking to potential partners and so forth. Probably the breaking news you're referring to is we've just posted on our Twitter the 7th partner that we've confirmed. It's Genuine Undead. So yeah, for those of you, if you've got some time, have a look at the Twitter. There'll be some information there. Other things is we got a couple of meetings. We have a number of meetings over the next couple of days with other projects. There's a big one next week that we're working on. Would love to share that with you, but like as always, we just want to make sure that things are confirmed before we provide any more details. But yeah, as always, thanks for your support. Lots of things happening in the background, and we'll keep the community up to date.
Enjoyed the Twitter statements. Do you think it did any good as far as getting new people in is concerned? We've not seen really much of a budge on Discord numbers. but we've definitely seen more social followers. I noticed, for example, that I had, I think, 200 new Twitter followers pretty much over the course of the spaces. I think obviously it's big exposure, and it's obviously a lot of people getting to hear about you, whether that translates directly into users or people coming in to join the community and stay in here. That's yet to be seen, but the thing is that it can't hurt, can it? And I mean, people have been asking for a long time that we sort of get a little bit more exposure and get on some bigger channels. So to have Paul Barron last week, and then obviously Mario Nawfal's spaces, that had the second part was, do we have any numbers on how many people actually listened to the Twitter spaces? There was 558,000 the last we checked. So when I was looking for the answer to this question, there could be a few more now, but it was 558,000 at that time. I'm sure a lot of people come in and out very quickly, but they would see the banners and the advertisements and all the rest of it. So that's all boding well. The other question that I got was, we don't hear you talk much about new projects or projects that are getting exposure to the Vault. So I did tweet out today in relation to that because of that DM, which was really in relation to are people showing interest? Are people coming in? So we're giving more and more walkthroughs now. And as the builds are getting more stable, that's becoming better and better. So we're talking to people at the moment who have built things or have large communities and are really sort of exploring what it is that they could do. The thing that I got asked there is there anything that you can share about these visits that we may not already know? So what I can tell you is that I was quite surprised because very few of those people that are doing walkthroughs have never been into a metaverse before. So what I mean by that is most of the people that we're getting through have been in at least 1, 2, 3, 4 other metaverses. So the trend I'm seeing, and I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but the trend I'm seeing is that once people go in and have a look at a metaverse, they want to have a look at the rest of them. So they're doing the rounds and having a look at what's available and what's out there. I guess the other bit that's interesting to share is that the majority of people, once they come in with a VR headset, say, my considerations are now limited to you and Somnium and Spatial and a couple of the others that they're mentioning, because they're saying that the VR definitely feels as though it's a much more immersive experience, and they definitely feel it's going to go down that road. But they've also shared lots of feedback in relation to their builds and deployments and stuff they've done in either the Sandbox or Decentraland and what they've found. So it's been some really, really good feedback. And when I say really good feedback, I don't necessarily mean it's all like, this is wonderful. It's feedback on, do you know what else you could do? Do you know what others are doing? You learn so much more from doing a walkthrough with these people than you do from any other medium or article or whatever. So much so that King of Cogs and I were in a walkthrough, was it last night or something? Last night, and we were saying, that we should make this kind of compulsory. We should get as many staff members in for each of these walkthroughs, because it really does alert you to what people are wanting to do and wanting to see and all the rest of it. Now, what we could also do, once we've got some of these people a little bit closer to being on board, there's nothing to stop us from saying, advising when we're going to go through and give a little bit of a demo or a showcase, especially if it's something that someone's about to build or whatever, for any of you guys that wanted to tag along for some of these, because a couple it would be good to get some of your community members in to hear what they like best and what they're using. So these roads are going to merge very, very quickly, and it's pretty exciting to get them in there and show them through, because we normally have about an hour and we can't get through in an hour anymore. Like today, I think Lala and I had 30 minutes planned with one of the companies, and they'd said 30 minutes is fine and plenty, and all we did was went to Arcade, Apartment. We showed them C11 actually, we went to Fear and Slam, and it was like we never even got to go to Arcimoto or Calanova yet. So they want to rebook and come through at a later stage to spend more time. But it is getting very, very difficult to show people through in an hour now. It's amazing. Anything that you want to add on that, Luke or Red Pill or anybody in relation to that, or exposure or feedback that you think we've had? Because what I'm getting asked is there anything that they don't know about that we're hearing or get told or can share? I think that's pretty much it.
I think you covered it. We're doing a lot of advertising, or trying to push ourselves up to the top of the list in SideQuest, which is getting a bit of traction. We've got about 30 installs over the last few days just by trying things out. One of those resulted in us being on the front page of SideQuest for a while, for about almost an hour the other day. And that's a lot of the installs happen during that time. So we're really working on different options there, trying to try different things to see what gets traction, and we'll do that across other platforms as well. But that gave us a bit of visibility, so I think that's good. I think that's something we'll continue doing as well.
Yeah, for sure. All of that type of stuff that gives us exposure is definitely a good thing. And we've had a few more people that are looking at potentially rolling out or building or doing something come in and bring a very impromptu, invited people from their community in. And we've seen, I think, during the week, one group said we ought to get in there and have a look. And, it was only 12 people and another group was only 7. But the fact is that they sort of said, hey, does anyone want to jump in and have a walk around with us now? And you saw people come in and go around. So that's really good. The other question that we got was, I got two more here. One of them's kind of a little bit of, I'll just read them how they are. One of them is, what do we have to do to book the opportunity to host an event in a space? If people, if you're in the vault and you say, look, I'm going to go hang out in the arcade on Sunday, it's a public space. If you said, look, I'm going to have a hangout there, it's different than hosting an event. But if you sort of said, look, I'm going to jump in there and anyone who wants to come in and play and, host some sort of an event, that's all well and good. It's just no guarantee that you'd be the only ones in there. If you wanted to do something specifically that was ring fenced, you just have to contact us and we'd have to work out how to make that happen. Oh, and is there any charge to that? And as I said on Twitter the other day, I'm happy to not only allow the events to happen, but I'm happy to rock up, or anyone from the team that's available that wants to go can also jump in there. But happy to give these communities or groups a tour, because it's pretty bloody important for us to get this feedback. The second one is one that our team's heard many times before, and pretty to the point, and it says, with all this recent attention that you're getting and the feedback that we're seeing, especially that this metaverse is so much better than a lot of what's available especially in VR, why are not more people talking about this, and why do you not have more serious partners? It's a very good question, and the thing is, I think, in all honesty, we've spent a lot of time putting all of this stuff together, and like Luke said, it's a million pieces, and it's like seeing it all come together. And as Red Pill will tell you as well, it's been a labour of love for a long period of time, and we wanted to move fast to get to a point where we could have the platform out and ready. And we're now, and we've been for some period of time, and I think it's fair to say, we may as well be very, very blunt here, it's been mop and bucket to aisle 4. We've been trying to make sure that we are cleaning up anything that we have had a hangover from the perspective of moving too quickly. We are making sure that our foundations are really strong so that we can build sustainably and stably. And as you'll see when you go into each build, there's still things that need to be fixed. There's still little glitches or bugs or whatever, which you'd expect from what's technically a Gen 0 product, but what we're doing is we're knocking those off one by one. We're getting better. We're getting more stable builds. And as Luke said many times before, it's going to be a great day for us when we can sort of not have to touch the vault for a month or 2 months and have such stable, solid builds that we don't have to do anything. At that stage, we should have a lot of people in the vault building and deploying as well. So there's that. And then the other part is from the partners' perspective, we're starting to now talk organically to companies that want to actually build. Those conversations, and we've made this very clear from a long time ago, most of the partnerships that you see that exist today are bought partnerships, and we never really played that game. What we said was we want to actually have product that's good enough that people want to use. And hand on heart, our product isn't stable enough for us to be able to say to Nike or a big brand, you're going to pay us $1 million a year to be present there, because we're still making sure that stability is there. But we're also not chasing Nike and saying we're going to pay you $3 million a year so that you'll be in there. The reward and return is just not there. So I think it's good that we're getting to a point now where we're starting to talk to some larger projects or companies about how we could work together more as a mutually beneficial arrangement or agreement. So for that to happen, you have to know what you're able to offer them. Again, Luke, Red Pill, Pete, anybody want to jump in and add anything there?
No, I think you covered it. I think that obviously that stability is important, but also making it scalable is critical as well. I mean, we've talked about this a million times, but the scalability of it and being able to expand it quickly is important, because we obviously have to be able to accommodate these users that come on board and these new experiences that get added as well. So that's a huge focus. And as I mentioned a couple of weeks back, we're doing a lot of work on the back end at the moment, which you can't see, but we're about to cut over to a entirely new, the same format, but an entirely new version of the back end. So we should be, once that's finished in a couple of weeks' time, we should have much better capacity, performance, and that should mean a much smoother experience on the client side. It should be much more forgiving for load and basically anything to do with multiplayer, voice, all of that sort of stuff should be a lot smoother. So we're really doing that now, so we're set up for the future and we can expand quickly, because we can see this will happen very, very fast. As Ben said, we're getting a lot of interest now again, which is great. So we want to make sure that we're ready for that when the time comes.
And just so that we're clear on it, guys, we get frustrated internally. We say, look, we're working really hard, and it is frustrating that other people get a lot more exposure, or people start talking about them when we're working so hard to put out a quality product. But the thing also that we take into consideration is we haven't taken those shortcuts, and we're trying to make sure that we are ready for that growth, like Luke said, and you've got brands and reputations and all the rest of it. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see in other projects and stuff where, there's lots of feuding, or they haven't delivered on what they've promised, or they don't have what they've said they have. So we're very mindful that we're now in a position to be able to showcase exactly what we do have, and that's warts and all. If something doesn't work or doesn't work as well as it should, that's there for all to see, and anyone can go in there and verify and see that. So it's important to us to make sure that we've got a solid reputation. It's not a sprint, and it is frustrating when you see people try and sprint ahead and take liberties and all the rest of it. But as I said before, many times you sort of go past them on the highway and they've crashed and burned, not too far up the road. So we just want to do things the right way, but we understand that when we're ready, when it's there and it's really, really solid, stable, we can then start to court some of these bigger people. Sandbox brought in big names, IP partnerships. Any big names that can be brought in to build and get more traction with people. Big name, DJ performed in dance hall. Reebok used our system to mint you, seems like forever ago. What's next? So in relation to that XP, again, we're talking to a few that the ones that look like they're more immediate won't definitely be as big as Reebok, but they're people that have built in these types of environments before, and they have audiences and communities, and they know exactly how it works. So that's kind of really good. What we don't want is a massive line of people coming in and saying, "Oh, this metaverse space is really heating up, or it's getting exciting. Can you do everything for us and build everything for us? And we don't really know what we want. We don't really know what we want to do." There's enough people out there that are saying, "I'm already doing this. I'm doing it on another platform, and I'm pissed off. I'm not getting looked after. Doesn't work. Doesn't do what it's supposed to do. I'm coming across to you to have a look at what you've got." And that's what we're getting, to be honest, at the moment. It's not just, you'd love to hear me say everybody's seeing it and they're super excited and they all want to come across. Being very honest with you, a lot of what the traffic that we're getting now, or the inquiries that we're getting now, are people saying, "I'm just pissed with where I am at the moment. It doesn't work. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It's cost us a lot of money and a lot of time." And so we're here to have a look. So we're ticking boxes, and now we've got to be able to turn around and say to those people, "Right, here's a space for you. And more importantly, here's how you can crack on and build or deploy or whatever for yourself." And that's what the team's working so hard on, is giving people the tools to be able to do that themselves, because we don't want to be in a situation where we're doing everything for everyone. We'll just never get anything done, finished or completed. So what's next, XP, would be get a few of the people that really are good builders and know how to build to come in and do that, and then to sort of roll out. And the good part about it is some of these brands are actual platforms, in the sense that they have lots and lots of sponsors and clients and people that they work with, and they're looking at trying to get their hands on a district that they can then showcase multiple partners and multiple brands in one space. So we've been asked 3 times today whether people have stuff for rent and when that will be available, especially people that want to just deploy something and try it. They want to sort of, that's a good sign. It might sound negative, but it's a bullish sign. Yeah, anything you want to add there, guys?
Just briefly, I managed licensing for my last company, and these quote unquote big partnerships, these guys are paying like millions of dollars to do all the work. So you guys need to understand that. And the messed up part is these companies don't necessarily have to renew. So you can see what happened to, like, what was it? F1. The F1, the game company that lost the F1 brand because they didn't want to renew. And then what did they do? Animoca,
Delta
right?
Time. Yeah.
So you can see what happens there. Like, if that company refuses to renew, because those contracts go to the highest bidder, not necessarily the best product, right? So I think our approach is much better. We're finding people that want to build with us, and honestly, I think it's cool that we are launching brands rather than bringing in traditional brands at this point.
Yeah, thanks for adding that context, because when you were saying what were they called again, I was thinking I'm not jumping in and saying that, but you can, and that's good, because it is the case. But what you're also seeing, like, you imagine, let's just take that for an example, because this is exactly what happened when they didn't renew and went somewhere else. They had a massive problem because they said, "Oh shit, we've already got a ton of NFTs out. What do we do?" Because effectively we're not allowed to. The type of deal they did, they weren't really allowed to showcase, promote, or advertise, etc. for those anymore. So they thought, how are we going to do this? But the thing that happens in a situation like that is people assume, like exactly like Phil just said, people assume that your product's no good, so people are leaving, and they go, what happened? Maybe they're no good. Maybe they don't have a good product. And it's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with the fact that who's paying. And what you will see very shortly as well is that there's a number of parties that did multi-million-dollar, multi-year deals. And we've been in a prolonged bear market, and some of those platforms are not going to be able to afford to pay the multiple millions to sustain that relationship, which is already happening, and there's some of them that have already come to light in the last few months. And that's going to continue to happen because now projects that would have already been under the pump are now having to try and scratch around behind the couch to not lose a big brand partnership that doesn't bring them any revenue, any users, anything. But it's to protect brand damage now. So that's not what you want to be doing at this particular juncture in time as far as the development of the industry is concerned. So to Phil's point, you do not want to be paying millions of dollars to do everybody's work for them. And we've seen 2 cases already where the big party has paid, and we might see it again in a couple of days based on what's just happened in the last few days, where big brands have paid money to have been paid money to go onto a platform or a metaverse or whatever the case might be, and then they've turned around and said, even though you've paid money for us to be there, we're not happy with the quality of work that you've provided us, so we're going to sue you or go for damages. And that is something that you just do not want to have hanging over your head if you're not 100% sure that you can deliver what it is that you're supposed to. So I think slowly and cautiously is the right way to go at this particular point in time. I have eaten lion, can confirm not lion. Is that true, Urban Gecko?
Of course. I have not eaten lion. That would be disgusting.
My wife has, and she's eaten many exotic animals, elephants and all the rest of it. You go to the zoo with my wife.
have eaten lion.
Lion is cat. That's like eating a pet.
They eat cats. I mean, as a nation, I mean, it's you go to the zoo with my wife, and it's which animal haven't you eaten to game? There's not many.
Has she tried bat?
Well, I've tried bat. I think most people
I've
tried bat. You would have tried bat, Pete, being in Malaysia.
Yeah, I have it. Like, Gecko, when you come over, I'll treat you to that.
Well, we're going to kickstart Code 2 again.
I've eaten bat in Batunia, Pete.
Oh,
in
yeah,
Borden.
that's awesome.
You know what they say about bat, though, right? It's just chicken of the cave.
Yeah.
No, I think mate, that's not the saying you're looking for. That they say once you go back, you never go back. Is I think the saying, mate.
That is not the saying I have in my country.
Okay, we digress. It's amazing how quickly we spiral into degeneracy. You would think Web 2 companies now, with an eye on Web 3 last couple of years, bringing in employees that could create given tools you're creating. One thing you do see, XP, is you saw every company was saying, for 2022, if you don't have a chief metaverse officer, you are no company. A lot of those companies have scaled back or scaled down their metaverse departments and all the rest of it. And I got asked this the other day. And the team was saying to me, that was from that company, was saying, why do you think it is? Why do you think people have stopped recruiting for metaverse people in their companies and research teams and all the rest of it? And I can only give you my opinion from all the conversations that I have, but the answer is pretty simple. And that is the space has progressed a lot in the last year or two. You've got a lot of companies like ours that are starting to bring stuff to the market. And as Red Pill said earlier, which was a very astute point, that is, you don't need to go out and build something from scratch anymore. There's a lot of great tools coming to the market. AIs help expedite things. You can package things up and you can bundle them and you can offer them as part of what you do. You don't need to go out now and spend tons of money on these elaborate teams to build stuff that doesn't exist. You can just incorporate what's already there. So that's my view anyway, because I've spoken to a lot of companies who have said, there's no point in us continuing that because we can just now partner with people or we've got access to something that's already there. Anyone on the team who's got an opposing view or a different piece of input, please share it.
So I've been reading a lot of the metaverse reports from like Cooper Waterhouse and other big investment and industry watchdogs, and they're all talking about reskilling rather than rehiring, because their present workforce will be able to take advantage of all these tools. They don't need to hire specialists anymore.
Yeah, there you go, mate. I think that, back in early 2022, in the middle of 2022, there was a lot of people putting a lot of money into research teams and trying to, and I think there's still a bit, the thing is now, if you were researching before, the research that you do now, the difference in the focus would be on what tools are available to us to use and what can we incorporate, as opposed to researching what tools could we potentially build. That's a definite narrative shift for sure and certain. With the new RFOX ID V2, what do I have to do? Transfer anything, etc. Who wants to answer that one?
So Lala's put some instructions up today, and there's on our support site there's some instructions as well. But very simply, if you've played Slam and you've got any rewards in there, NFTs, etc., in that RFOX ID linked wallet, then you need to get it out before the end of life date, which is the middle of next month. So obviously, if you've got another Wax wallet, just transfer them across to that wallet. You'll be able to link any wallet, Wax or ETH, to the new RFOX ID through the Vault portal. So whichever wallet you want them to end up in is the one you should migrate them to. But really, it's just that simple. We just need to get the stuff out because those wallets won't be accessible after that end date.
Thanks, mate. I'm starting to build. This one might be one for you, Red Pill, if you want to answer it. I'm starting to build Leprechaun Land. Are the districts ready for me to pop in if I get it built out using Unity?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would the only requirement would be that you actually use the SDK that we have right now. There are a couple of settings that would need to be set, but if you have that land, just pop it into that template and then upload it on the Create tab in the portal, and then we will get access to those files and then we'll integrate it. So yeah, it's ready. I mean, the thing is, you're not. It depends if it's just a land or if you want any like complex gamifications. That stuff is not in yet. But if you just want to have that land with some animations and stuff like that, that's not a problem.
Okay, thank you, mate. Will existing KOGs holders benefit from the new KOGs minting? Is that one that you want to answer, Pete, or?
I don't understand what you mean by benefit, but the existing KOGs holders would have staked the tubes for materials, which will then be used for crafting these new KOGs. Actually, you'll be crafting the packs in which the KOGs will come out from the packs. I think more info would be shared, I think, on Friday.
Thank you, mate. Lucky Luke, it sounds like the RFOX ID V1 I have will be deleted because all my KOGs in V1 wallet will be gone if not moved after the 19th of July.
Yep, I did answer that. The wallets won't be accessible anymore after that date because they're obviously accessed through that ID system. So when the ID system goes down, so will the access to the wallet. So it is critical that we do it before then.
Madame, I listened for about 3 hours of the Mario Twitter Spaces, had to take a work call during start of pitch 2 earlier this week. Some of the speakers were interesting. Anyway, was the intention for RFOX not to be part of the pitches? I think I just made a huge assumption you would be part of them. personally, I think that you would have knocked the Q&A portion out of the park, especially compared with the other pitch teams. Yeah, they were trying to focus on, if you got to hear the other teams, they were pretty critical, weren't they? I think Jonah was in a good mood. They were trying to focus on teams that were going through raises for their tokens, and new teams that were just starting out. So we thought it was more benefit for us to sort of be able to do a little bit of a talk, but also to appear on the panel, because that also helps us, especially when we're moving forwards into becoming more of a, we want to be more considered to be more thought leaders in the space, especially around metaverse, as opposed to a project that was looking to do a token raise based on where we're at. But I think the view of us being able to pitch the project to an audience at a later stage, so if it wasn't sort of early token investors, if we were looking at sort of like more equity pitches or more pitches that would be given to very seasoned investors that could give you really good feedback in relation to scaling or branding and stuff like that, then of course that would be very beneficial. But yes, I was also sitting on that call thinking to myself, oh, I wish I got that question, and I wish we had have been asked those questions. So yes, I was pacing around the room thinking, oh damn, would have been good to get that exposure. But on the same token, we did get a lot of exposure from being on the main segment. But you know, just if we do get the opportunity to down the track do a public type of forum like that, that is for those later stages, then definitely would be all over that. And starting to get asked a little bit more about panel stuff. We used to do panels, and we used to go to conferences a bit, but what we found was a lot of the ones in the region were always timed to try and get the speakers to fork out tons of money, and then they couldn't get anyone into the conferences. They were always a little bit of a waste of time. But we're starting to see a few clear leaders emerge as being good conferences to potentially attend. The issue is coverage. But the good part about that is we do have people scattered all over the place. And to be honest, I think the best conference we've been to in some period of time, Luke, you would probably be able to add value to that. I think we are super keen to do CES each year and to do more of the conferences like CES, because we really need to be pitching our tent in places that have VR headset users, VR headset manufacturers, software companies that deal with in our space. Luke, do you want to just give a little bit of like a run through of what CES is for those people who don't know? Because realistically, this is the direction that we're going in, is very much not thinking about how do we compete against, you know, so much against Sandbox and Decentraland and the players that we know are big in this space. We need to start thinking about how we can offer something that is going to compete with the ones that actually have millions of users. That's where our mindset and focus needs to be. Luke?
Yep. So CES is a consumer electronics show. Happens at the start of every year in Vegas, but it's mainly obviously concentrating on consumer electronics, but that a lot of stuff does fall into that category these days. And there's even some crypto stuff there. Like there was some crypto hardware rigs and things, but there was, as we said before, there was a massive focus on VR. But it's really everything. It's monitors, computing, TVs, cars, everything technology related. But the big thing about CES is that obviously the size of it. It's one of the biggest conferences in the world, and you get exposure to both software and hardware at the same time. Obviously the VR angle is massive there as well. So we get to talk to a lot of different people over the course of a few days that you would never get to even in the course of a year. You'd be flying around all over the world to talk to these people. So you've got people literally from every corner of the world talking about things that are very relevant to our industry. And the more I think if we're serious about this being a massive project and having potentially our own white labeled hardware and all the rest of it down the track, we have to take these conferences very seriously. And I think CES is one we could see a lot of potential on. We probably need to be a bit more organized next time. And I mean, I'd like to have a presence there, to be honest, as well. But it's definitely something we need to double down on and get more serious about going forward.
Yeah, and I think we, like you say, I think we're also looking at being able to go to one of those types of conferences and mingle and meet people and talk and swap ideas and stuff's all well and good, but being able to go there and have a headset and say whack this on and walk around in what we've built and what we have, it's a huge fundamental difference, isn't it? Because every crypto conference we go to, 90% of the companies that are there have a poster, you've never heard of them before, and they've got like a little booth and they're saying, we're going to be the new blah, blah, blah. We're going to be the new blah, blah, blah. But if you can actually get in there and see the product, that's a huge difference. You guys are going to be at any Australian crypto conferences this year. I will be spending a bit of time in Australia this year, and there are a number of conferences that are coming up in the second half of the year that are definitely worth looking at. So it's a matter of whether we think we can get the value out of them. Yes. Leprechauns will be, and sounds like a conference for the R&D department. Is that right, Urban Gecko? Actually, BAS should probably attend as well to keep the team in check. That's a good idea. There you go. You're just trying to angle for a trip to Vegas, eh, PJ? All right. If there's any last questions, we're happy to answer them. Otherwise, thank you very, very much for attending. I think it's good that we're getting lots of little pieces of extra exposure. That's going to continue over the next few weeks and months. More and more people will get to hear about us, and you'll see more and more people do reviews and jump in and have a look around and what have you. So that's good. What I'm really looking forward to is the people that are planning to have events. And it doesn't matter if those events are 20, 30, 40 people in the beginning, but some of the people that we're talking to at the moment said that the smallest they've done is 250, and they've done upwards of 5,000 or 10,000 in events as well. So this is going to be good tests for our load and stability and all the rest of it. As early as you can, just move any COGs you have RFOX ID V1 to your Wax Cloud wallet. You can create a V2 ID and link your Wax wallet at your leisure. You don't have to do both at the same time. Thank you for that. Let us know, Benny, when you look into any Aussie conferences so we can save our pennies. Absolutely. The ones I'm also looking at or I've been talked to in the last few days are also, there's a lot of these panel influencer type of things where they all get together and talk about stuff, but at the same time, which I'm not interested in, but there's some thought leader stuff going on where you've got a lot of these providers coming together specifically for metaverse-based operations. So I'm really looking forward to those. If you see those pop up, you'll know that we're looking at it. All right, guys, thank you. Oh, yuck, you don't eat that, do you? Or is that supposed to be a reaction? I'm confused on what animals we're eating and what are reactions.
I haven't eaten that one.
I'm not sure what it is.
And you said that, and both my dogs just looked at me like, "What the hell?
What is it? Is it an otter or?
That's an otter. Yeah, that's an otter.
Yeah. Any more marketing exposure coming in the next week? Yeah, we're working with the group at the moment, so they're getting us little bits of exposure each week or so. But I don't know. I mean, we keep getting told we should be doing our own spaces. Lots of good guests we could have on, but yeah, we'll just keep an eye on the social channels. Make sure that you keep doing what you're doing. You heard last week that by retweeting and talking about what's happening, we're getting more and more people see those tweets and say, "Hey, I'm coming in and having a chat," and that's resulted from them seeing your tweets and you talking about us. So that's really, really important. You keep that going, guys. Thank you very much for doing that. And also, obviously, C11 DAO, Great job, great effort to get more and more communities in and involved. And those people are not obviously only in one community, they're across the board. So that has a network effect as well. So thank you very, very much for your time, guys. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Have an awesome night and week, and keep flying the RFOX flag, because it's just going to have more and more wind behind its sails very shortly. So take care, guys. Thank you to the team for joining as well. Appreciate it. Have a great night and a great week.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye,
Stay safe.
everybody.